polarizing issue is Georgia Congressman Austin Scott, one of our favorite guests to have on this show. Sir, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks, Amanda. John, good to see you. And look, what I would ask people to look at is look at the timing of the release from the district attorney. He waited until Congress left town. If we were in town, we would obviously have a much easier way of talking about all of the things that were going on with this district attorney and the politicization. Obviously, if you're Antifa, you get a get out of jail free card with this guy. And then he waits until Congress leaves town for 14 days. Democrats have a history of doing this. If you look back at what Barack Obama did with Libya and other things, they are very intentional with their timing of everything that they do in their political orchestration of things. And so, if I were Trump's attorney, I'd be asking that question. Now, his attorneys are much smarter than I am, and I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, is an American citizen, and he's got constitutional rights. And if you are listening to this podcast, this show, if you're an American citizen, every one of us out there over the age of 18 has committed some type of crime. Big, small, little. If you filed a tax return, probably your tax return's not perfect. They have hunted Donald Trump and his family for years and years and years. The thing that separates America from other countries is the government does not have the right to hunt an American citizen. Whether you like him or not, the government does not have the right to hunt Donald Trump, to hunt the Trump organization, to hunt his family. And every Democrat out there who believes in civil liberties should be standing up and saying this is wrong. And unfortunately, you've got people like Speaker Pelosi saying, oh, well, he can go prove his innocence. Well, the difference in America and other countries is in America, you don't have to prove your innocence. That's what the Constitution is about. So we've got a Manhattan district attorney who's owned by George Soros. And who knows, maybe George Soros is going to give him a personal bonus for getting a picture of Donald Trump, getting his fingerprints taken. But, Donald Trump's attorneys are going to have a field day with these clowns once they get into the courthouse. And it's just a travesty of justice that this is going to happen. And listen, I think the tell-all in this is that, the majority of Democrats believe this is a political witch hunt. And when the majority of Democrats believe it's a political witch hunt, then there you have it. And, the rest of them have Trump derangement syndrome so bad that they can't tell the truth from, anything else when it includes his name. But it's sad. And there have to be consequences. There have to be consequences for this district attorney when this is all said and done with, and there have to be consequences for those who support him.
Yeah, such an important moment.
Sir, I wanted to ask you about what effect this is going to have on the Republican Party, because as far as the Republican caucus on Capitol Hill, there's a diversity of opinion, people, different factions on the economy, on foreign policy, a lot of diversity. But is this something that you think will unify Republicans?
Look, Amanda, I'm one of those Republicans who I will tell you, I wish Donald Trump was my president right now. I personally have other candidates that I would prefer to be the Republican nominee in the next election cycle. And that has to do with what I believe in Donald Trump. His policies are great. I think there is a tendency to spike the football before you cross the goal line. And that has hurt us politically as Republicans and the things that we're trying to do. I think he'd be the president of the United States right now if he'd had a little bit of discipline and not going on Twitter and saying all of the things that he did. So I'm very concerned about the 2024 elections as we push forward. Now, I do think that what they just did, I think the Manhattan District Attorney, I think that the Democratic Party, I think this is orchestrated. I think that the Democrats want Donald Trump to be the Republican nominee for president. And I'll tell you, the difference now is everybody's got a chance to see just how liberal Joe Biden actually is and just how bad his policies are for America's economy. And so I truly believe if it's Trump versus Biden again, I think Donald Trump beats him. And the Democrats think that if it's Trump versus Biden, they think Donald Trump is the only person that Joe Biden can beat. And that's the political calculation on their part.
It is amazing to think that a legal case is coming down to all this political discussion, but that's really what's at the heart of it. We've seen it.
That's what it
Alvin
is.
Bragg campaigned actually to say, I'll be the guy that gets Donald Trump, so we know what his intention was. I want to flip you for a second to the consequences, because you are a bottom line guy. You want to get things done. You want to hold consequences. Yesterday, Speaker McCarthy said, listen, Congress is going to make sure there are consequences to Alvin Bragg. Can you give us some sense of what Republicans could responsibly do to create some consequences, to create some transparency so this doesn't keep repeating itself in the future?
Right. So there's a couple of things that have to happen there. Number one, the investigations of Joe Biden and how he and his family have become so wealthy, and why they have so many, limited partnerships and all these other businesses set up. Why do the Bidens have all of these partnerships set up that don't seem to have any business purpose? Did they even file tax returns on those partnerships? Why are they taking money from China? So that investigation has got to continue to go on, and I think Jamie Comer will continue to do a good job of it with that. And I think there's going to continue to be things exposed about Joe Biden and his family. I mean, look, I'm a member of Congress. I make $175,000 a year. That's a lot more than most people in this country make. I don't think you can get to be worth as much money as Joe Biden is, honestly, with that type of income. And so he needs to answer some questions about where his net worth came from. And let me say this on Donald Trump. Donald Trump left office worth less money than he was when he was elected. Let me say it one more time. Donald Trump left office worth less than he was when he was elected. If you look at Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they've made millions upon millions upon millions in their political career. So, that needs to be looked into. Now we're going to continue those investigations on President Biden and his family and where all of that wealth has come from. And then I think, on the other side, through the Judiciary Committee, with Jim Jordan and those on the Judiciary Committee, then I think you're going to have to look at prosecutorial misconduct and whether or not prosecutors in this country should be exempt from liability. Now, these prosecutors like to talk, these left-wing liberal prosecutors and George Soros prosecutors want to take away, immunity from police officers, yet they want to maintain it for themselves. I guarantee you, if this prosecutor did not have immunity for his actions, he would not have filed this against Donald Trump. So maybe we need to be looking at how a prosecutor who abuses his power the way this Manhattan District Attorney has done becomes personally liable and potentially criminally chargeable for their actions. And the state of Georgia has actually created a framework where prosecutors who operate outside of their bounds could be reviewed by their peers and potentially removed from office.
Sir, we've just got about a minute left. You brought up Nancy Pelosi's tweet earlier, and it almost seems like she accidentally said the quiet part out loud because she referenced President Trump having to prove his innocence, which is not how things go in this country. But he is going to go before a jury of his peers if it gets that far. My concern is that his peers in New York are non-existent.
Oh, I don't think so. Look, I mean, Donald Trump, the economy was good under Donald Trump. I think people realize that from a policy standpoint, just how good of a president he was. I personally believe that Donald Trump lost because of the tweets and the Twitters and the tone, if you will, of some of the things that he said. But from a policy standpoint, Donald Trump's policies were good for this country and good for the American citizens. And even if someone disagrees with him politically, there's still some honest people out there that are still voting Democrat. He's going to be found innocent. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about right. that. And I look forward to Donald Trump's lawyers are going to prove that this prosecutor's a clown.